All right, let's talk about guess hitting. Should hitters guess? Should hitters anticipate what's coming? Where's the line? Because like guessing is not that far removed, I think, from having an idea of like how this pitcher is pitching you, right? It's like, okay, if it's 2-0 count, you're pretty much guessing you're getting a fastball based on the count, right? Mm-hmm. The pitcher needs to catch up. They don't want to get to 3-0. But that's not really what we think of when we think of guess hitting. Like, what's your take here?
If you're going to guess at a pitch, you need to make sure that your guess makes sense given the context, and you need to take into account what the count is, what the pitcher has been throwing in that kind of count previously, what they've been throwing to you previously in your at-bats. So if you are paying attention to the game the way you should be and watching from the bench and observing other at-bats, you can probably get enough information where you can make an educated guess as to what kind of pitch is going to come your way in certain situations. I always felt that when I was hitting, if I was guessing at a pitch, it didn't really help me much. I was more of a reactive hitter. I know some guys do better when they go up there looking for a specific pitch, and then if they get it, they can just wail on it. Mm-hmm. And if they get something that they're not looking for, they can just let it go. And even if it's a strike, they can be down a strike and still be okay. Mm-hmm. So I think it really depends on what kind of hitter you are, whether you're more of a reactive hitter. Like I always would just kind of look fastball and adjust to off-speed and breaking stuff.
Which I think is what most people purport to do as hitters. Like I'm coming at this from a pitching perspective, but if you don't look fastball initially, how would you ever catch up to it if you get it, right? If you're looking breaking ball speed and then you get a fastball, it's going to be too late to adjust, right?
So there are some guys that can get away with that. I know there are some guys that are playing in the minor leagues right now who I know they will go up looking for off-speed pitches, and then they'll adjust to the fastball, and their bat speed is still good enough that they can actually still hit it and hit it very well.
Interesting.
Which I thought was strange when I first heard it, but the players that I know that do that do seem to be doing pretty well with that approach.
What do you think that means when they say I'm looking slider? Is it just that they're trying harder to pick up slider spin? Like, what does it actually mean? Because like your brain's going to determine one of the two, right? And this could be also an example. We don't know. Like if they're just saying they do something and actually do something different, you know? Mm-hmm. Because ultimately, as it leaves the pitcher's hand, you're trying to quickly determine if there's a difference in trajectory, right? Like you see a fastball, maybe if they throw a curveball, you see a little pop up and you're like, okay, there's a clue, the trajectory is different. He throws a curveball, it's going up a little bit, therefore it's a curveball. Like a lot of times you can't really see the spin until it's too late. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times they're reading more trajectory than it is just spin, or it's a combination of the two. But like, if they're looking for a slider, aren't they still just reading the pitch? Like what does that even mean, you know?
Well, I think they are kind of like, they're tuning their swing to the path that a slider would be taking, and then they're adjusting the path based on what else is coming at them.
Okay.
That's kind of how you would do with a fastball too. Like if you're looking for a fastball and you see it coming in, you kind of start your swing in a certain way, then maybe you have to adjust by getting out on your lead leg a little bit and holding your hands back longer. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's just whatever you feel comfortable doing is usually going to be your best bet. Personally, I wouldn't go up looking for breaking balls, especially like in a normal fastball count. But if it works for some guys, maybe it can work for some other dudes too.
Yeah, and I guess the question is, say if you're looking for sliders or looking for curveballs, is that the pitch that you drive better? Like, because you don't want to miss a fastball because that's the one you're probably going to hit a lot better than a slider. Like even if you look slider, you get slider, it's still a slider. Like it's still harder to hit than a fastball, right? Because it breaks, especially a really good one. So then the question is like, where's the merit in looking for a slider if it's going to be a hard pitch in general? Or like if you're looking for a slider, well, the only one that you're probably going to be able to do a lot with is one that kind of hangs and breaks into the center of the zone rather than starting. If you're looking for a slider that starts in the middle of the zone and it breaks to the black, like what kind of swing are you going to put on that pitch anyway?
I guess you could take it if you wanted to.
You could take it, but like, what's the value of looking for a pitch you're going to take, you know?
Well,
so then are they looking for bad sliders? Are they looking for hanging sliders?
Generally, I think. Yeah. It also depends on what kind of hitter you are. So if you're a guy that is a really good hitter and everybody knows that, and you know you're going to get a pretty heavy dose of curveballs, which that happens at the high school level, happens at the college level. It does happen at the pro level sometimes. You can maybe think, all right, this guy's probably going to throw me some off speed or breaking stuff because he knows I'm a really good hitter, and now I can sit on that pitch and I can just drive it when I get it.
Yeah, and I think the distinction is like these guys who are looking for a pitch are still looking for a mistake pitch version of it. Like if I throw you a curveball and it starts from the middle of the plate, and you identify it as a curveball, it doesn't do any good because it's going to break right to the front of the plate and bounce, and you're going to swing and miss if you swing at it. Like, you're not going to.
Well, if you're anticipating curveball too, and like you see the path of the ball, you can generally guess where it's going to go, and then you can maybe lay off of it.
Yeah.
Where if you're looking fastball and you get fooled on a curveball, then you can take a really ugly swing.
Well, that's my point. Maybe then if you're looking for a curveball, you're really only looking for what does mistake pitch curveball look like, right? What's the trajectory? Which those are going to be easier to spot because a curveball that breaks and ends in the middle of the zone is going to have a higher trajectory than the fastball. It has to. Like if fastball ends here and a curveball ends here, well, the curveball broke 14 inches, so therefore it's got to start higher and it's slower. So like you're going to see some amount of pop. The only time they look the same out of the hand is when they start the same trajectory initially, in which case the fastball that starts here ends here, and the curveball that starts here ends on the ground. So like those ones are going to mask each other better. But like if you're looking for a curveball that you can drive, you're looking for the mistake curveball that pops up out of the hand, or the slider that has a little bit of roundness at the beginning and comes out and around. So then if you're looking to ID that one, great. Now I've found one that I can drive. That makes sense. And then of course, like you mentioned context, which I wanted to come back to, which is there are contexts where it makes sense. Like I don't care, I'm going to sell out on a fastball, right? Like 2-0 count or a 3-1 count, or a time when your team needs you to put the ball in the outfield or something. It's like, all right, I think I'm going to get a fastball, so I'm going to sell out. I don't care if I throw the bat into the crowd. Like everything is going fastball right now. And that makes sense in certain counts. Yeah. Because like that's why you have 3 strikes. Otherwise, what's the advantage of being ahead in the count if you're not going to sell out and try to smash one, when you're up? So I think that makes sense. But I think people get in trouble when they start really guessing.
Yeah.
And because then it's like you can't adjust to anything else. Like you have to have some mechanism in your swing where I can look for this, or I think this is coming, but it's still not going to leave me exposed, or I'm going to get beat by everything else if that's the only thing I'm looking for.
Yeah, you can get away with guessing in like in a 2-0 count, a 3-1 count.
Sure.
You have a green light, guess on a 3-0. If you got 2 strikes on you and you're guessing at something, you're going to lose that probably the majority of the time.
Yeah.
The vast majority.
Yeah, it's not going to end well. And I think as a hitter, especially like for young hitters as an action item, I think ultimately you need to just really try to focus on discerning different trajectories and different spins. So that's like your long-term like way to be resilient to different types of pitches. And also like what do hanging curveballs and hanging breaking balls, and not just hanging, because I don't think every curveball that ends up in the zone is a hanger per se. Like I don't agree with that. Like that's just a called strike curveball. Like I think the curveball ends here is not necessarily a hanging curveball. Really, we just call it a hanging curveball when they hit it, when they hit it hard. But when this is like, like their knees buckle and they take it, it's not a hanging curveball, right? It's just like a double standard. But like a hanging curveball is probably like belly button height, where it's not breaking as sharply. It's a strike. It's easier to see. That's like a hanger to me, or a slider that comes back over the middle. And like as a hitter, really being able to say, I'm really good at spotting hanging sliders and hanging curveballs, because when I do, I can make that adjustment and they're still up in the zone and I can keep my hands back and I can destroy them. That's, I think, a big skill.
Yeah.
Because that's what we fear as pitchers. Like, I don't care if you've identified a curveball that's going to break out of the zone, or a changeup or something that's down. If you identify a slider that ends up on the black, good luck. I still want you to hit that, right? Like if you identify a curveball that breaks below the kneecap and you swing at it, like I'm going to get a good result. I'm going to get you out probably 8 out of 10 times. So like go ahead and swing at it. So it's really like, I just don't want to face hitters who are really good at picking out stuff that like, when I leave one up in the zone, they're really good at spotting that. And that's what you see in the big leagues. Like guys leave a fastball in the middle, guys are good at depositing it. Guys leave a curveball, belly button high, guys are good at depositing that. Because like ultimately, like no one hits good sliders in the big leagues either. If it starts here and it breaks off the plate there, like no one hits that, whether you spotted it or not. So